someone sent it to me on Instagram. I think her name is Diane. And so today I'm going to show you guys how to make it. You will need about 2 yards of fabric and 2.5 yards of fabric because of the sleeve. So first you're going to start with the skirt. So you're going to measure your shoulder to your waist and subtract it from the full length of the dress. This is a short dress, so I'm going to, so right now I've cut out what I need for the skirt. I cut out my front and then my back panel, and then this the width of this here is basically my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1. So my hip is 48 divided by 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. And then for the back panel I added extra 1.5 for my skirt. So guys, the next thing is to go up to the top. I'm cutting both the front and the back together as usual. So my waist measurement is 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So mark that here. And then I'm going to add 2 inches of that 1 inch of that in 2 inches, 1 inch of that in 1 inch of side seam, right? So in total that is 2 inches. Then I'm going to come in here and mark about 4 inches in here, and then come down from this line and mark my waist to my hip, which is at 10 inches down here. And then I'm going to connect my waist to the hip directly, because I don't need to insert any measurements here because I already used my hip measurement to cut it. And then down here, because this whole fabric is the same length, down here I'm going to subtract 1 inch at the lower part because it's going to be a pencil dress, and then I'm going to connect this part to this here. So guys, I'm going to just go ahead and cut out the excess. So I'm going to cut the excess on this side. So guys, now I've cut out the side. So guys, the next thing is just to mark my dart. So on that 4 inches line, which is just the nipple to nipple that I'm using, I'm going to come down here by about 7 inches or so, and then this is going to be my dart. Then just mark it here, bring down the line 1/2 inch on both sides, and then connect it this way. So that's basically my pencil skirt. I'm going to notch it because I'm going to be transferring this dart on the 4 sides of the skirt, and then I'm going to split the center back this way. Now that I've split it, I have 2 pieces at the back and 1 piece for the front. So I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to start the bodice on a paper, but if you want you can go directly on your fabric. So basically this is going to be on a fold, right? You're going to be cutting this on a fold, this center part. So you're going to measure your shoulder to your waist. For me is 17 plus 1 is going to be 18. So this one is just for my extra seam allowance. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to insert my shoulder measurement here, which is going to be 16 divided by 2 is 8. Mark that. And then I'm going to come down here by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert my armhole, which is 18 divided by 2 is going to be 9. Mark that here. And then I'm going to make sure that I place my shoulder measurement correctly, and then I'm going to bring this down together. And then guys, I'm going to connect it this way. Like I said, you can do this directly on your fabric. Now I'm going to insert my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5, and then I'm going to give it a curve for my armhole. But remember, this is the front armhole. So what I'm going to do is from this my 1 inch I came down by, this 9 inch I'm going to split it into 2. 4.5 is half of it. Come in here by 1/2 inch, right? You're just drawing your basic bodies. Connect this. You can use your curve ruler and connect it once. Just connect this up in a straight line, and then use a curve to connect this one down to this point. So guys, now that I've marked that, so the next thing I have to do is just to come down here, insert my waist measurement divided by 4. Like I said before, is 8.5, and then plus extra 2 inches, 1 inch of that in 1 inch of seam allowance. That's going to be 10.5. Mark that here. Insert seam allowance for my bust. I'm going to be using about 1 inch for my seam allowance, and then I'm going to connect the 2 together. So that's basically it for my bodice, right? So I've marked this now, and then you're going to insert your neckline, because remember we are cutting for the front. I used 3 inches here, and then connect it shoulder slope to this part, and then that's it. So I'm going to cut from here all the way here to the top part. Guys, after that I'm going to insert my dart here, so and then I'm going to go up here. You're going to put in your chest dart, so I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides, and then I'm going to insert my dart here. So this is going to be my dart here. So guys, basically all I've been doing here is just to draw out your basic bodice pattern, right? That's what I'm doing now. So after that I'm going to go ahead and, so this is just my dart for the bust, and then guys, now you're going to use this here to trace out the back. So I'm going to just use this here. As you can see, I didn't cut out this armhole because I want to use this to trace out my back panel. And then after tracing out the back panel, now we can change the back a little bit. So guys, this is it here. I've gone ahead and traced out the back panel. Remember, we're just doing trying to trace out basic bodies here. So now I'm going to separate the two of them just so I can change the back and reduce it, right? So to do that, what I'm going to do is to just what the person sent. So I'm trying to see what the side looks like. So because I've decided I'm going to play it so you guys can see. You see what the back looks like. You see her own. So it depends on you what you want the back of yours to, how far you want yours to come down at the back and curve to the side. So I'm going to do 5 inches for mine. So guys, I'm going to do about, because remember I'm going to use lining to turn this around. So I think because I'm going to take away 1/2 inch at the top and 1/2 inch at the bottom, so I'm just going to do about 5.5 inches down from the neckline, because I came down 1 inch for your neckline. Remember, this is the back panel, right? And then the next thing you're going to do is by the side. It depends on you. You can do the same 5.5. I'm doing 5.5. You can do 5 inches, and then now I'm going to just try to curve it. So guys, I'm just going to follow the curve of her own. So I'm just going to curve it. You see, hers went in a little bit to the side and then stopped somewhere here and then went down. So I'm just going to follow that for mine and then blend it down into the side this way, because remember I'm just going to go up far away from this side, because remember my seam allowance is still going to, my 1 inch of seam allowance will still stop somewhere here, you see. So all these parts here are going to be sewn in, so it's going to help pull this down and sew it into the side seam. So but I'm just going to curve it and go in directly down to this part. So but if you want, you can still bring yours down a little bit more, like trace it down a little bit more. Just know that you still have your 1 inch of seam allowance here. So even if you come down 5 inches here, that doesn't mean that this 5 inches, that is where this side will end. This side is going to, because this is going to go into the seam now, right? It's going to go into our side seam. This 1 inch here is going into the side seam. So that means our back panel, the cut is stopping here. So just like if you look at her own, I don't know if you guys can see it. So this part here, our 1 inch of 1.5 of zip will still come in, go in here, and then the back is going to go this way, just like this. So this is what we are going to have. Then we are going to have a zip by this point here going up to the neckline. I'm going to cut this part off also, and then cut this part off also. There is no dart on this at the back, so I'm going to just go ahead now and cut mine. So guys, now I've tucked out this part for our zip. So and then we have our front panel. That's why I said you can just go ahead and trace out this on your so I'm going to do the front neckline 3 inches down. So let me not confuse you guys, and cut that out. So we have our front. You can bring your neckline down a little bit more if you want to, but I'm just doing 3 inches down. So guys, what I was saying is that you can use your fabric directly, right? But because I wanted to figure out how to trace this line first, that was why I decided to go with pattern paper first, just because of tracing of this here. So you see, you can trace this directly on your fabric and then take your fabric, place it on the second fabric for the back panel, mark out your neckline, mark out the back, mark out everything plus your seam allowance, and then you can use your chalk. If it's for you, just use your chalk on your fabric and figure it out. You don't have to do pattern paper like I just did now. So guys, now I'm going to just use this now to trace out on a fabric. Now I'm joining the top. So basically you're going to cut a lining exactly like the front, exactly like the back, and then you're going to join it by the shoulder on each of them. So I joined the fabric also by the shoulder, pinned it center of the shoulder, and then sew the center of the neckline, and then also sew this edge here. So to flip it out now, all I have to do is just to put my hand inside of this place and then pull it out from here, turn it around, and then iron it. So that's what I have to do. But then before you do that, you're going to notch all these curves so that it's not going to have tension when you turn it over. So guys, just look at it and see where the places I made a stitch. So basically, cut a lining, cut the top, cut the back, join it by the shoulder. The same thing you did for the lining is what you're doing at the back, and then after that, join around the neckline and then join the two curves and then flip it out, iron it before you put your dart. Or if you want, you can go ahead and put your dart now, so that when you turn it around, you already have your dart. But if you're doing it now, place the dart first on the lining and then put on the, do it separately is what I mean. Pick your dart separately on the lining and pick your dart separately on the cloth. But if you're doing it after you've turned it over, then you can pick the dart together with both the lining and the cloth. So now for the skirt, this is what I've done with the skirt. Sorry, I already went ahead and joined the sides of the skirt, joined the body of the skirt, and then so join the two sides and then join the back, picked my dart. So that's basically all I have for the skirt at the moment, and I have my zip allowance here. But guys, one thing I'm going to do also is, if you look at the back, you see it has a band where the skirt is going to be. So I'm going to make my band. So basically, I'm going to cut width of fabric that is like 5 inches. So guys, this is what I'm using here. So you see, I've cut it out separately for the two sides of the band. So you can go ahead and iron in a stay in yours. All I'm going to do is just to fold mine 1/2 inch on this side and then 1/2 inch on the other side, and then iron it down. And then I'm going to take one side of my skirt and put in between it, right? So the way it is now, I'm going to just take one side of this skirt, put it in between this here, and then sew it down as my band. So I know you'll be wondering what will now happen to the front. Once I finish the front panel, I'm going to also join it to the front of this skirt and then close up my side seam. It won't change anything. So once I finish this now, I'm going to also attach the band and then put my zip at the center back. It's going to be my sleeve. So basically what I'm using here is just my armhole divided by 2 plus like extra 5 inches, which is what I have here. About 15 is what I have here. So guys, this extra 15 is just because this is an exaggerated puffy sleeve. You can exaggerate yours even more if you want to, like you can use more inches. I did +5, you can do any other one. So guys, after that, I'm going to just come down here by about 2 inches. The length I have here is 15. When I'm done, I want this sleeve to be about 10 inches. If you notice her own is not too long, you can extend yours even more. So I'm going to mark about 2 inches up here and then come down here, mark 4 inches extra. And then after, on that 4 inches line from the edge, this is where the fold is, but from the edge I'm going to mark 10 inches down here, and then mark that 10 inches also at the top, and then connect these two lines together so that I can be able to mark my sleeve. Just mark a straight line, find halfway through that line, which is going to be about 5.5 somewhere here. Give it a curve below to this half point, and then give it a curve above to this top point here. But then instead of this is just your normal sleeve, right? This is how you mark your normal sleeve, but instead of making it to this top, I'm going to just extend it above. So now this is going to be our puffy sleeve. So this is how you make it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and then from now I'm just going to fold the bottom part and pass my elastic at the edge, and then gather this top part at the top of my sleeve. And guys, also if you look at this here, I've turned this around. So I wanted to show you guys, you're going to do the front and the back separately. So you see, I've put the zip at the back, although I joined it by the waist, but if you notice, you see the back is still separate, right? The back is separate here, the zip, everything is done here, but the front is still open. That's because I want to put in my sleeve. You see what it looks like after I ironed it. So I've ironed this neckline. I've gone ahead and ironed the neckline this way, and then after ironing it, so this is what it looks like. You see, So fold it back. You see this edge is already done. So this side now, once I put in my sleeve, all this part will be sewn into the side seam this way, and then I'm also going to join this to the side seam this way and fold it in. Guys, like I said, you can extend yours even down to the edge of the clothes. It depends on you how you want the side of yours to be. So I'm going to do that now. You need a zip that can be separated on top, right? If you look at her own, you'll see that she used like a jacket zip for the top part. So you will need a zip that can be separated because the neckline is small and you want to pass your head so that you can be able to wear it. So you need a jacket zip for this top part, a small jacket zip. You fold it this way and then you put the zip in between here, put your sleeve, and then close up everything. Once you close up the side, then you can also, this part here is going to be joined to the top bodice because the band here is not in front, so the band here is going to be attached to the bodice, like the body of the top part. So, and then this part here is going to also come in this side. So you see everything will be done like this. Dress is done. I've finished everything. So I've joined the top to the bottom, and look at the back here. I've inserted my puffy sleeve. You see the puffiness, I pleated it all the way from around the armhole to the front, this way to the front. So guys, you see what I was saying, you need a jacket zip for the top part here. So, and another thing is that, remember, this is my first time of making this style, but if I were to change anything, maybe probably I'll bring down this seam to the side a little bit more. So you see, this my side seam when I was tracing the pattern. If I wanted, I could have brought it down a little bit more, maybe down to the edge of the cloth instead of cutting it shorter, like bring it down all the way just so that the seam allowance can go in. This one is still okay, but if you don't want to expose a little more of your back, then you can bring yours down even more and cover up some more. Instead of making your arc this bold, just you can make your arc come down a little bit more and then go down all the way, and then you're going to have a seam allowance. Because if you look at mine now, you see from this side, this is almost exactly how it is on the picture, because if you look at her side, you see it stops just by the side. But if you want yours to come down a little bit more in, you can do that. But this is how her own is. It stops right in front for the side, but the top part curves on top like this. So that's basically just putting your jacket zip at the top. You see we have our seam allowance, but it's pinned down because I don't have a jacket zip at the moment. But that's basically it for this tutorial. This is the skirt part, and that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any question, please leave it in the comment section, and see you guys next time. Bye.